Welcome back. It's day 4 and how to bank $100,000 in the next 100 days. And Julie, let's just jump right back in. We've been getting great feedback on this series, so smart of you to come up with this concept for the last, this would be the 4th day.
Yes, day 4. This is part 4. And today we'll do a summary of the 100,000 in 100 days plan. But first, let's round out our last 2 points of how are you going to actually go about this. Point number 11 is investors. How do you deal with investors? Well, it's simple. Join your local investors club through meetup.com is a great resource, and or private Facebook groups in your town. You'll know then who's looking for which properties and what investors are likely to sell. This also gives you insider information about pocket listings, coming soons, private listings, all of that kind of stuff, which can benefit your buyers.
Casey Anderson in Florida, who we've got an interview that's coming out featuring her in about a month, maybe actually 2 weeks. One of the things that she does, and I shared this idea with you guys the other day, is she lives near a coastal town in Florida, and she will drive through and she'll look for all the investors that are running their little bandit signs looking for people that want to sell their houses, because those communities have a tendency to have a lot of people that only go down there during certain times of the year. Florida, maybe they're coming down from Ohio or wherever. And so a lot of those folks want to sell their properties. They realize they're not using them, et cetera, et cetera. And what she's been doing is calling the investors who are looking for those houses that they want to buy and hold or buy and flip. And, she's finding out what they're doing with all the leads that they're generating. And then she will oftentimes get listing referrals directly from those from those investors. So just think outside of the box. But I'll tell you, the real sweet spot for this is definitely the Facebook groups. Most of them are going to be private. And look for wholesalers. Just really drill down on all the different investor activity that's happening in your community. Most of those folks, they only want to flip or they only want to wholesale. They don't want to buy and hold for the most part, and they certainly don't want to, list and sell like you guys do. So make sure you think with your head screwed on straight. The way you really weasel your way into their hearts, by the way, is when you'll come across 5 or 6 investors. Maybe they're wholesalers, maybe they're flippers, doesn't matter. What they want more than anything, they don't even really need for you to help them find buyers. They're, right now in this market, obviously that's not much of a challenge. They need more properties that they can speculate on. So when you come across something that you think might make for a good flip, maybe it's in the MLS, it's not even your listing, right? Make sure you share that with these prospective investors. At the very least, they're going to appreciate the fact that you're trying to help them find things that they can make money on. But they also might buy it from you, and you might then get that listing.
Well, what's really cool about investors, and many of my coaching clients, my elite private coaching clients especially, have 2 or 3 sort of pet investors, their favorite investors. Why are they their favorite? Because when you work with these investors, you're talking about not just one-off transactions. You can have one relationship and do multiple deals. You can bring them something that they're going to buy. You then list that. You bring the buyer. Then they lather, rinse, repeat. Sometimes they have, I know one of my coaching clients just had talked to an expired. It wasn't her expired. It expired on another agent. And it wasn't 1, not 2, not 3, but Gina picked up 5 properties. I believe that was from an investor. He got mad at his previous agent and she was able to pick all that up. That's a new relationship for her. So that could spin into many different directions. That's why we like investors.
You and I had usually 3 to 5 people that were almost always flipping real estate that we'd work with. Mm-hmm. And what we did actually, and you guys could do this too, it depending on your MLS rules, is so I think we had 3 that would do usually 1 a month. Mm-hmm. And we actually made them part of our real estate teams. Yeah. And we got them to be members of the boards of realtors and got them their own super keys and the whole thing. So they could actually go out there and show their own basically look at properties on their own. They didn't have access to the MLS through computers, but they did have the MLS books, which we gave to them. So because there was probably about a 5-year period where the books and the internet access were happening simultaneously. So yeah, think out of the box. You might find the investors provide a really good steady stream of, a profit for you. So there's, definitely keep that in mind.
All right. So point number 12, door knocking. Yes, I said it. Now, this is not at the top of the list because it generally takes more contacts to take a listing, but it is still effective when you're consistent. Door knocking can help you become more comfortable speaking with people about real estate, and many times you're going to be at the right place at the right time, and indeed take those listings just by being there. Before you go door knocking, though, choose your neighborhood wisely. Does it turn over much? What's the average sale price? What's currently active, pending, and recently sold? What's being built around the neighborhood? Is there new construction nearby? Become the go-to neighborhood specialist and use good scripts at the door. Start with your own neighborhood since you already know it really well. And of course, refer to our recent podcast series about door knocking. I think that was a 4-part series as well for more help. And then be sure to ask, of course, your Harris certified coach for additional support. This door knocking thing has become a very hot topic, partially due to scarcity of inventory. It does work.
Well, door knocking always works, but the problem is it's not very efficient. And I'm not saying not to do it, but it isn't. So if you're just knocking on cold doors, how many doors are you going to have to knock on before A, you get someone to answer, and B, you get someone to answer that actually might want to do a real estate deal with you, let alone maybe have a referral for you. So it's just not the most efficient way, but it is inexpensive. And frankly, along the way, as long as you're making good impression on that particular neighborhood, it's a great way for you to start essentially an agent farm. And I'm going to give 2 examples.
Sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you need to remember the name of that agent that we use as an example occasionally that sold outside of New Albany, who went door knocking when she was pregnant. Lisa
McKivergen.
Lisa McKivergen. I know
Granville.
Granville, right.
Yes.
So I'll give you that example. So she was somebody that was a bit of a legend in Central Ohio. And the story goes, and I know her daughter listens because last time we told the story, she sent me a really nice email.
Yeah.
But yes, so Lisa was somebody who, when pregnant, was going door to door and knocked on, the legend goes, every single door inside Granville, Ohio. Granville, Ohio is just like this absolutely gorgeous little prototypical college town, just, something you'd see from an old Rockwell oil painting. Mm-hmm. Well, she went door knocking, pregnant, and obviously made an impression on a lot of folks because here's this gal out there working her butt off, and she did this in the summer. But as a result, she was able to generate lots and lots of contacts, relationships that quickly built her center of influence past client list. And to this day, I think within 24 or 36 months, she became the #1 listing agent in Granville. And then to this day, and this is probably, guys, I bet you it was 30 years ago when she did this. Her daughter now has taken over her team. I don't know it for a fact, but I would be shocked if they weren't still, if not but one of the most prominent listing brokers in that particular community. So door knocking works. I'm going to give you guys another example. Dwayne Richens, who's part of our EXP group. And, Dwayne is in Utah. Dwayne sold over 100 homes. I think actually it was 85 homes his first year in real estate, strictly from door knocking. And door knocking is, again, Julie's advice to you is really key. Make sure you're knocking on doors where you know there's going to be decent turnover, where the community actually has, maybe people stay 4 or 5 years, because some communities aren't like that. Some people buy one house and they never sell it. There are still parts of the country that are like that. So just keep that in mind. If you're knocking on these places where the people never sell, knocking on doors where the places never sell, you're just going to be, barking up the wrong tree. And I'll give you a third example. Mm-hmm. And we have these guys on our podcast too. Okay. David Harris, and what was the other one from Bravo?
I can't remember his name right this second, but yes, the LA guys, right?
LA guys, yeah. They're in LA, selling LA, Bravo. Uh-huh. And so they got their start by, guess what? Door knocking luxury real estate. And there were a lot of other actually people that we've had that we've coached in those really upper end, like you guys in LA. I'm talking about the Bird Streets and things like that. Not necessarily Beverly Hills, but so they'll go door knocking. Houses are relatively close to each other. There's not a lot of gates. So they can go and get to know all the neighbors. And so what do you bring to the door when you're door knocking? We teach you how, in Premier Coaching to have a list of your buyers that are looking for homes, or maybe there's a new listing in the marketplace. It doesn't have to be your new listing, and let them know about the new listing being for sale. Lots of excuses to share lots of good information with potential homeowners who also might be your future sellers. But door knocking works. What doesn't work is doing nothing. And you'll notice that, as we promised 3 days ago, everything that we're prescribing to you is free. There are no referral fees. You don't have to buy leads. You don't have to learn how to SEO optimize a landing page and all the rest of it. You just have to get off your duffs and do the real work.
So are you convinced yet, after 12 different ways to do this, that you can make $100,000 in 100 days minimum? Some of you, it's double or triple that. And some of you, it's in less than 100 days too. So for many of you listening, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable with at least 2 or 3 of the 12 sources that we gave you over these past 4 days. So start with those and drill down to increase your contacts and your skill level on the things that you're already pretty good at. Now, if you need scripts and skills, you've come to the right place. All you have to do is ask for help waiting is not profitable. If you're freaking out because it's more business than you've ever had, you can't even imagine making $100,000 in 100 days. Well, make sure that you've got a transaction coordinator to help you, an organized schedule, and are involved in our Premier Coaching so that you can get the help you need. Don't just say, oh my gosh, that just sounds too intimidating. Figure out how you can handle it, because 100% of you listening can absolutely handle that and more. And then once you're getting results from those 2 or 3 resources, it's time to add the next one. You might have even dabbled in all 12, but not taken each to the next level. What would happen if you decided to take 8 to 10 listings over the next 100 days, no matter what, and simply do what we've laid out for you in this podcast series? What if that's exactly what you do? How would your life be different in 100 days or less? And remember, for any of these methods to actually work, you do have to be systematic, disciplined, and consistent, not just dabbling.
Well, it always goes back to the same thing. If you want ever increasing levels of success in your business and personal life, you have to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. The highest level part is what Julia was just alluding to. It's not just calling it in or putting in the time. You actually have to do it with the intent of getting a result. And really, I want you to also take note. This is day 4. On day 1, we told you the things that are going to require the most skill, but also put you in front of the most, frankly, viable opportunities to take a listing or, really sell a house. That's going to be your expireds. We started centers of influence and we went to expireds. Why those 2 things? Centers of influence and past clients are going to be the easiest people to communicate with. Expireds, and then when you get into unrepresented owners, aka for sale by owners, those are going to require more skill. But we ordered them in such a way that you do clearly understand that it goes from most skill, frankly, greatest return on investment, to least skill but least return on investment. When you're knocking on a door hoping that you find that needle in the haystack, obviously that's not going to be as effective if you're calling an expired seller. So if I were coaching you personally, here's what I would tell you to do. Absolutely positively centers of influence and past clients. If you don't have a big center of influence and past clients list, do what Lisa McKivergen did and go door knocking. That's going to be a low skill activity, but it's also going to put you in the field. It's going to put you in the marketplace, and you're going to be getting to know people. And it's really difficult for people to be mean to people, at least in most parts of the country, when they're looking at them, right? So you're not going to get a lot of rejection.
No.
You won't even get anything that remotely resembles rejection, especially if you're bringing with you information about the real estate market, or, every homeowner right now is curious what their home's value is in this marketplace. So walk around with just a quick snapshot of what's going on in the community, know what the days in the market are, know what, list to sell price ratio is, know what, all that stuff, number of new listings, amount of new construction, have a real good sense of what's going on in the market, and then share with them. Like, I'll give you guys a quick snapshot. Nationally, year over year, homes have appreciated or inflated really in value by 6%. Most homes in the United States, are what, 424,000 or something like that. So most homeowners have basically walked into another $24,000 to $30,000 in home equity in the last 12 months. I assure you, everybody, their brother and their dog, are going to want to know that information. You're going to make them feel great. Because if the house was $1 million and that's gone up by $60,000, and so look, you're going to be the purveyor of wonderful, exciting news that people are going to be really, I think, for the most part, very appreciative towards you for sharing this information, even if you've never met them before. Dress nicely. Don't look like you're, somebody that just, frankly, took a nap underneath a tree, and then they're going to, for the most part, they're going to want to have engaging conversations with you. Follow our scripts. We give you all the scripts you need in Premier Coaching. You can join Premier Coaching at premiercoaching.com, or you can just scroll down below and click the link below. And it's a very simple process. So it would be centers of influence and past clients, and then it would be expired listings. If I were coaching you guys personally, if you had a lot of for sale by owners in your marketplace, then I would probably ask you to lean into those as well. But for the most part, start out with centers of influence and past clients. Take massive action. There's a law of, physics, or what was it? No, Newton's law of gravity,
Newton's
right? Things in motion stay in motion, objects in motion to stay in motion.
Yes.
And once things are not in motion anymore, basically they lose all the momentum, they come to a dead stop. If you're feeling like you're coming to a dead stop, especially this time of year, what's going to happen is you're going to pay the price. Well, certainly right away, but definitely in 6 months. What you're doing, whether you know it or not, is you're building momentum into the new year. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about, Tim? We're only halfway through 2024. I get it, but the reality of it is the leads that you're generating, the skills that you're learning, the mindset that you're developing, right, is going to create more momentum going into next year. Because you think you have 6 months left this year, but you do not. I don't mean to live here. I'm not meaning to be melodramatic.
No.
To sell real estate. Because if you roll it back, let's just assume it's June 1st. And if you roll it back, starting with December, how many weeks in December are most of you going to be working? Be honest. The answer is none.
Probably.
Maybe
yeah.
1 or 2. Then we have November, and most people take a week or 2. Now, I know you're not going to take 2 weeks off, but that's what the market's going to feel like. People are going to be traveling, getting ready for Thanksgiving, calling me after the holidays.
Yeah, so that's already minus a month and a half.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. And this is something that's funny. Starting about 10 years ago, the last Halloween became a holiday for a lot of people, and they will effectively check out for the entire week around Halloween. I have no idea.
I know. There's like kid Halloween. Now I guess we're doing adult Halloween, and those are on different dates, so we have to stretch it out for a week.
I refuse to. I will never.
I
do
know.
that.
I know.
You and Zoe
I'm
can
clear.
dress up every year. I'm not going to do it.
But the point's the same: is that that's not an easy week to get people to be productive.
And let's go back. I mean, you have September. What happens in September? What happens in August?
Kids go back to school. You've got Labor Day. You guys have travel. Your clients have travel. So it may look like a big stretch, a big runway of 6 months, but when you cross out a lot of those days, not because you're not being motivated. I have clients tell me that all the time. Well, I'm going to work even if nobody else is. Good luck with that. You have fewer work days than you think. So for those of you who are already set to make at least $100,000 in the next 100 days, I know probably 90% of my private clients are at least at that point. Some of them it's double or triple that. Many of you listening are like that. So which of the 12 sources do you still need to add to your skill set to take your business to the next level? What if you were to double your projections for the next 100 days? If that's you, you should consider being an elite one-on-one coaching client.
And don't avoid doing things that are speculative right now. Anything that's not going to put you in a position to help somebody and make money in the next 90 days or less, or 100 days and less, right? Mm-hmm. Sticking with a theme. Just don't do it. If you want to do what Julie and I call those art projects, and that would be your branding, your marketing, your social media, all these things, do that during the slower time of year towards the end of the year. That's isn't that shouldn't be obvious?
That's a holiday project.
That's a holiday project where you're looking to fill the void of time. Maybe you were like Julie and I, and you beat your head against the wall after taking maybe a week off, and you just get bored and you want to go out there and work again. That was certainly our approach to the holidays, which did not work out well for us usually. No. But the moral of the story is that's when you do those creative projects. Don't do them now, or frankly, don't ever do them, because really, if you
don't have to.
If you're willing to do the real work of real estate, like we prescribed in all of our podcasts, but certainly our Premier Coaching Program, that extra stuff that just sort of maybe sometimes occasionally kind of works, you don't truly need to participate in it. So I know that's counter to what a lot of you are being told is true. But the reality of it is that the thing that will never, there's an old saying, don't build a mansion on land you don't own. And I want you guys to think about that. It's very difficult not to build a mansion on land you don't own. The mansion is your future. The mansion is really your business, right? It's your financial security. That's the mansion. The land you don't own is really where you don't realize that it is land that you don't own. For example, if you were building a lot of videos on TikTok, and now it looks like TikTok is going to be banned in the United States to some degree, well, you have wasted an enormous amount of time. If you are building here's something that's going to be incredibly disruptive. Julie and I are, we're looking for reasons to believe what I'm about to say is not true. And we are debating it with many people as we can, looking for reasons to, again, believe what we're thinking is not true. We think AI is going to make everyone an influencer. We do. We think AI is going to make it so that every single person out there is going to be able to create a one-for-one likeness, an avatar that's going to be able to articulate the latest and greatest whatever real estate and information there is to your marketplace. You're going to be able to start creating, you're going to have an avatar of you with your voice that's indistinguishable from if you were standing in front of the camera. This is available now, but I would say it's 90% indistinguishable. But within probably 6 months or less, it'll be indistinguishable. And you could start creating an unbelievable, never-ending, tsunami of real estate influencer style content. And so that means if you have been thinking that you are going to build your future as some sort of YouTube video real estate rock star, and everyone else is doing the same thing, you now do not have any sort of unique selling proposition anymore, do you? A lot of the same thing is going to happen to all these other, ideas, concepts, marketing and branding things. If everyone has stellar marketing branding, everyone is a social media influencer, what makes you different? There is only one damn thing. It's called your skills. And you don't realize you don't have skills until you're competing against someone who does, and then you lose. That's unfortunately how a lot of people learn that they didn't really have skills. So build your mansion on land you truly own. The land you truly own can only be bought and paid for through your skill set, not from essentially doing speculative stuff. Everything that you think, like, you're looking at postcards, you're looking at websites, you're looking at funnels, you're looking at pay-per-click campaigns, YouTube, all this stuff. Those are all building your mansion on land you don't own. So your skill set, knowing actually how to have meaningful conversations that results in a pre-qualified, ideally listing lead that ends up with your listing, that ends up as, your satisfied customer and your paycheck. That's what we teach you to do in Premier Coaching.
That's right. So remember, of everything that we have rolled out to you this week, over 4 podcasts titled How to Bank 100,000 in the Next 100 Days. None of this costs you money. It does cost you some practice. It costs you some consistency in your time. But look at the first one, your past clients and center of influence. Even if you don't have a huge center of influence, all of you right now, when you stop listening to this podcast, you can take pen and pencil, you can take your typing fingers, and you can think, you can look at your contacts. You have at least 100 people in your smartphone. I guarantee you that you do. So start with the A's and call them. Use the scripts you get in Premier Coaching. That's easy. That doesn't cost you anything. Expired listings. Yes, you're going to have to learn some skill. You're going to have to upgrade some of your conversations. But every day you have expired listings in your MLS. Use your hot sheet. Use RedX to make it more efficient. I think that's in the link if they go to their notes.
It's in the show description.
In the show description,
right.
Okay. New build salespeople. They're right there as we speak. They're sitting in the model home talking to people who have to sell a house before they can finish their new build. None of this is earth-shatteringly hard, and you don't have to do all 12 of the things, but you do have to do probably 8 of them, and 2 or 3 of them at a very high level.
The last 4 days worth of notes from these podcasts. And again, thank you for all your great feedback on this content. The notes are available for our daily newsletter subscribers, and it's harrisrealestatedaily.com. harrisrealestatedaily.com is where all of our show notes are. And starting tomorrow, here's an announcement. We are going to start releasing the world's greatest agent interview series. And the first person we're going to be featuring is a gal named Brooklyn Hahn. And she's actually not a realtor, so I'm kind of betraying her, the title,
okay.
But it's still good. As she and I, for I think half hour, 45 minutes, discuss the changes that are happening, not just with the commission sharing lawsuit, all that stuff, how the rubber's going to meet the road. Rubber's going to meet the road? Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Changes.
But
Changes are coming.
more specifically, what I wanted to focus on with her and what we did, and you guys will see this tomorrow and listen to it too. It's going to be on YouTube as well. We talked about the changes with regards to the TCPA rules with online lead generation.
FCC too.
Yeah, right. So that's going to be stuff that you guys definitely need to be paying attention to. And she and I debated which will have more of it.